Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our uh, daily Srimad Bhagavatam Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya class. So we are continuously reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So some days before we are unable to continue class. So we'll continue from today. Srimad Bhagavatam, right? Fourth chapter, fourth canto, eighth chapter, slok number 80. Maharaj Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So before reciting, so getting enter the Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll recite Mangalacharan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudire Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nishtiki Mukam Karati Bachalam Pungum Langhaite Grim Yatkripatamaham Vande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sichaitanya Isharam Om Tassat Namoyam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Charu Swami Niti Namine Snigdha Cheto Supraneto Bhagminam Charasa Platam Prabhupada Prano Nomi Bhakti Charupanam Namoyam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatadeshatarne Mukam Karati Bachalam Pungum Langhaite Grim Yatmipatamaham Bande Sri Gurundiratarinam Paramanandamadhavam Sichaitamna Isharam Tassat. So, you all are, here is a Srimad Bhagavatam, fourth complete chapter, slok 80, you can see. Roma leaves home for the forest. So, we recite the slok. Tasmin avidyate viswan atmano loka nirudhyasham ananyadhiya loka nirut swasa nipatita vrisham salokapala saranam yayur harim. Translation. Sorry. When Dhruva Maharaj became practically one, is heaviness with Lord Vishnu, the total consciousness, due to his fully concentrating and his closing all the holes of his body, the total universal breathing become choked up, and all the great demigods, all the planetary systems felt suffocated and thus look shelter on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when hundreds of persons are sitting in an airplane, although they remain individual units, they each share in the total force of the airplane, which runs at thousands of miles per hour. Similarly, when unit energy is identified, when total unit energy is identified with the service of the total energy, the unit energy becomes as powerful as the total energy. As explained, as explained in the previous verse, Dhruva Maharaj became, because of his spiritual advancement, become more almost the most total heaviness, and thus he pressed down the whole earth. Moreover, by such spiritual power, his unit body became the total body of the universe. Thus, when he closed the holes of his unit body to firmly concentrate his mind on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the units of the universe, namely all the living entities, including the big demigods, felt the pressure of separation. as if their breathing were being choked. Therefore, they all took shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because they were perplexed as to what had happened. This example of Dhruva Maharaj closing the holes of his personal body and thereby closing the breathing holes of the total universe clearly indicates that a devotee, by his personal devotional service, can influence all the people of the whole world to become devotee of the Lord. If there is only one pure devotee in pure Krishna consciousness, he can change the total consciousness of the world into Krishna consciousness. This is not very difficult to understand if you study the behavior of Dhruva Maharaj. Text 81. Deva Uchu. नैवं विदाम भगवान् प्राणरोधम् जरचराशाखिला सत्वधं न धाम्ना विदेहि तन्नो वृजिनद् विमोक्षं प्राप्तवायं त्वं शरणं शरण्यम्. Translation: The demigod said, Dear Lord, you are the refuge of all moving and non-moving living entities. We feel all living entities to be suffocating. The breathing process is choked up. We have never experienced such a thing. Since you are the ultimate shelter of all surrendered souls, we have therefore approached you. Kindly save us from this danger. Purport: Brahma's influence attained by executing devotional service unto the Lord was felt even by the demigods, who had never before experienced such a situation because Adhava Maharaj controlling his breathing, the entire universal breathing process was choked. It is by the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that material entities cannot breathe, whereas spiritual entities are able to breathe. Material entities are products of the Lord's external energy, whereas spiritual entities are products of the Lord's internal energy. The demigods approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the controller of both kinds of entities, in order to know why their breathing was choked. The Supreme Lord is the ultimate goal for the solution to all problems within this material world. In the spiritual world, there are no problems, but the material world is always problematic. Since the Supreme Personality of God is the master of both the material and spiritual worlds, it is better to approach him in all problematic situations. Therefore, those who are devotees have no problems in this material world. Viswam Purna Sukhayate. Chaitanya Chandramrita. Devotees are free from all problems because they are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For a devotee, everything in the world is very pleasing because he knows how to use everything in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Text 82. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Vaishtabalam tapaso duratyattayan nivartaise pratiyata swadhama yato hi va prana nirodha asid uttanpadirmai sangatatma. Translation: The Supreme Personality of God replied, My dear demigods, do not be perturbed by this. It is due to the severe austerity and full determination of the son of King Uttanpad, who is now fully absorbed in thought of me. He has obstructed the universal breathing process. You can safely return to your respective homes. I shall stop this boy in his severe acts of austerities, and he will be saved from this situation. But here onward, Sangatatma is misinterpreted by the Mayavadi philosophers who say that the self of Dhruva Maharaj became one with the Supreme Self, the personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosophers want to prove by this word that super soul and the individual soul become united in this way, and that after such unification, an individual soul has to separate existence. But here it is clearly said by the Supreme Lord that Dhruva Maharaj was so absorbed in meditation on the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that he himself, the universal consciousness, was attracted to Dhruva. In order to please the demigods, he wanted to go himself to Dhruva Maharaj to stop him from this severe austerity. The Mayavadi philosophers' conclusion that super soul and the individual soul become united is not supported by this statement. Rather, the super soul, the personality of Godhead, wanted to stop Dhruva Maharaj from this severe austerity. By pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one please everyone. Just as by watering the root of a tree, one satisfy every branch, twig, leaf of the tree. If one can attract the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one naturally attracts the whole universe, because Krishna is the supreme cause of the universe. All the demigods were afraid of being totally vanquished by suffocation. But the personality of Godhead assured them that Dhruva Maharaj was a great devotee of the Lord and was not about to annihilate everyone in the universe. A devotee is never envious of other living entities. Thus, in the Bhakti Vinod purports of the fourth canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Dhruva Maharaj leaves home for the forest. Chapter 9, Dhruva Maharaj returns home. Text 1. Maitra Uvacha त एवं उत्सन्न भाया उरुक्रमे कृतावनमा प्रययुस्त्रिवष्टपाम् सहस्राशीर्षपि ततो गरुत्माता मदोर्वनं भृत्या दिदृक्षया गता. Translation: The great sage Maitra told Vidura, when the demigods were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears, and after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planets. Then the Lord is not different from the Sastra Sirsa incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvana forest to see his servant Dhruva. Purport: the word Sastra Sirsa refers to the personality of Godhead, known as Garbhadakshay Vishnu. Although the Lord appeared as Kirdakshay Vishnu, he has been described here as Sastra Sirsa Vishnu because he is not different from Garbhadakshay Vishnu. According to Sri Rupa Goswami in his Lagu Bhagavatamrita, the Sastra Sirsa personality of Godhead who appeared at that time was the incarnation known as Krishna Garbha. He created the planet known as Dhruva Loka for the habitation of Dhruva Maharaj. Slok 2. Savai dhiya yoga vipakati tivraya Hrita Padma Koshe Spuritam Tadit Prabham Tirohitam Sahasaivo Palakasya Vahi Sthitam Tad Avastham Dadarsha. Translation: the form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning, and in which Dhruva Maharaj, in his mature yogic process, was fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. Thus, Dhruva was perturbed and his meditation broke. But as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Purport: because of his mature position of yogic meditation, Dhruva Maharaj was constantly observing the form of the personality of Godhead within his heart, but all of a sudden, when the Supreme Personality of disappeared from his heart, he thought that he had lost him. Dhruva Maharaj was perturbed. But upon opening his eyes and breaking his meditation, he saw the same form of the Lord before him. In the Brahma Samhita 538, it is said, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena Santas Sadaiva Hidayesu Vilokayanti Jangshyama Sundara Bachinta Guno Sarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. A saintly person who has developed love of Godhead by devotional service always sees the Lord's transcendental form of Syam Sundara. The Syam Sundara form of the Lord within the heart of a devotee is not imaginary. When a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Syam Sundara he has thought of during the entire course of his devotional service. Since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham are all the same. They are non-different from one another. Taddarsanena gata sadhavasa Krishtav avandatangam vinamaya dandavat digvayam prapashyam napivan ivar vakshash Mumban Ivasena Hujair Ivaslisan. Translation: when Dhruva Maharaj saw his Lord just in front of him, he was greatly agitated and offered him obeisances and respect. He fell flat before him like a rod and became absorbed in love of Godhead. Dhruva Maharaj is in ecstasy looked upon the Lord as if he were drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth and embracing the Lord with his arms. Purport. Naturally, when Dhruva Maharaj personally saw the Supreme Personality of God face to face, he was very much agitated in awe and respect, and it appeared as if he were drinking the entire body of the Lord with his eyes. The devotee's love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so intense that he wants to kiss the lotus feet of the Lord constantly, and he wants to touch the tips of the toes of the Lord and constantly embrace his lotus feet. All these features of Maharaj's bodily expression indicate that upon seeing the Lord face to face, he developed the 8 kinds of transcendental ecstasy in his body. Text 4. Satam vivaksantam atadvidam harir yatta yatvasya sarvasya cha hridi avasthita Nitanjalim brahmana mayena kambuna pasparsabalam kripaya kapole. Translation: although Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy, he wanted to offer prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead in suitable language. But because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, could understand Dhruva Maharaj's awkward position. Out of his causeless mercy, he touched his console to his forehead. Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. Purport. Every devotee wants to chant the transcendent qualities of the Lord. Devotees are always interested in hearing about the Lord's transcendental qualities, and they are always eager to glorify these qualities, but sometimes they feel inconvenienced by humbleness. The personality of Godhead, being situated in everyone's heart, specifically gives a devotee intelligence to describe him. It is therefore understood that when a devotee speaks about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his words are dictated by the Lord from within. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, 10th chapter. To those constantly engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord from within dictates what to do next in order to serve Him. When Dhruva Maharaj felt hesitant, not knowing how to describe the Lord for one to sufficient experience, the Lord, out of his causeless mercy, touched his, touched his counsel to Dhruva Maharaj, Dhruva's forehead, and he was transcendently inspired. This transcendently inspiration is called Brahma Maya because uh, when one is thus inspired, the sound he produces exactly corresponds to the sound vibration of the Vedas. This is not the ordinary sound vibration of this material world. Therefore, the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra, although presented in the ordinary alphabet, should not be taken as mundane or material. So today we will stop here. So tomorrow we'll continue from text 5. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada की जय। पतित पावन श्री गुरु महाराज की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय। जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।